Rules for drawing notes, and there's quite a few rules, so this video will just discuss the basic notes. We'll start with the most basic note, which is a whole note. Whole notes are flattened circles. There's a whole note on the line. We might refer to it as a line note. The staff line goes directly through the center. A whole note may also be drawn in the space, and it will fill up the entire space like that. That's all there is to a whole note. The other notes that we would draw all involve adding a stem. So the stem is the line that comes off of the note head. We'll begin with a half note. So we'll start here on this space. And to create this as a half note, we need to add a stem. Space notes have stems that go an additional 3 spaces in length. So we'll start right here. We'll go up 1, 2, 3 more spaces. Now this stem is going up, and so it needs to be on the right hand side of our note to make it look like the letter D. Stems may also point down. We'll give an example here. Here's a line note, and this line note will have a stem pointing down. And line note stems go an additional 3 lines. So we'll put our pen right there. We don't count this line, but go 3 more. 1, 2, 3. And this makes this half note look like the letter P. So a shortcut way to remember whether the stems go up on the right or down on the left would be to think about the word doctor and pepper. Dr. Pepper, so they go up looking like the letter D, or down looking like the letter P. Now the rule for whether the stem goes up or stem goes down is based where the note head is on the staff. If we go to the 3rd staff line, that's the determining factor whether the stems go up or down. Notes below the 3rd staff line have stems that go up. This helps keep our stems within our staff. Notes that are on the 3rd line and above have stems that point down. Again, this helps keep our music looking neat by keeping the stems primarily within the staff. Quarter notes work the same way as half notes, except of course quarter notes are filled in like this. If we have a note that is so close to the third line that there aren't 3 additional lines to go and count on, we just have to kind of eyeball the distance between where the last line is and where, if there were another line, where it would be located. So in this example of drawing a half note, we're going to have to go down 3 additional lines, 1, 2, and then take that distance that we went from here to here and kind of eyeball that additional stem length. So this way we still have the same length of stem. Same holds true for notes that might be here on the space. If we were to draw the stem here, it would need to go 3 additional spaces. 1, 2, that's all we have, so we need to just kind of eyeball the additional distance to create the look of a 3-space stem. The next kind of note would be an 8th note. Single 8th notes have a flag on them like this. So the flag on 8th notes always point towards the right hand side. I always think about how my music book is trying to be closed by the wind blowing the flags of my 8th notes in this direction. For 16th notes that have 2 flags, we just add an additional flag underneath our first flag like this. If we have 2 or more 8th notes or 16th notes, then we just need to connect the flags to create what we call a beam. So we'll get started here, 1, 2, 3 additional lines there, and we'll make it a little bit different location for the 2nd 8th note. We'll go here, 3 additional spaces, 1, 2, 3. And to make them 8th notes, rather than add a flag to both of them, we'll connect their flags in what we call a beam to go to the top of the notes like that. If they were 16th notes, we would just add another beam underneath that. So we have 2 beams representing the 2 flags. One of the things that's a little bit tricky about 2 8th notes or 2 16th notes is when one of them is above the 3rd line and one of the notes is below the 3rd line. So an example might be this one here on our 2nd space, and then let's say one up here on our 4th space. Well, here's our 3rd line. This note's supposed to have a stem that goes up. This one is supposed to have a stem that goes down. So the rule for stems then is the note that is the furthest away from this 3rd line is the winner as far as which direction the stem goes. So this one is just a step away from this 3rd line. This one is 1, 2, 3 notes away from that 3rd line. So this one is the furthest. So the stem direction of this note will be the stem direction for both notes. So we'll start with this one. It's a space note. We'll go 1, 2, 3 additional spaces. And this one will go 3 spaces, but we're going to have to eyeball 2 additional spaces down here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then we connect our beam across like this. Notice that if you were to draw an imaginary line between the 2 note heads, it would be parallel to where your beam is, and that is correct.